Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I had to say something about this because I've seen this a lot and I've even done this myself, but I've only done this because there really was not a lot of information out, and months went by and we still didn't get any information. And so I said, hey, we won't know the whole truth of the matter because they're obviously not putting out anything more than what we've already gotten. And it's been months, right? What concerns me is when a lot of things come out about the other side and the people that are on the other side don't want to believe that's true, or don't want to believe that that's all to the story, because the one side that they're believing in says that that's not all to the story. But then months go by and they still haven't revealed anything more than what has already been revealed months prior. And so everybody now is in this state of, well, we won't know the whole truth. It's almost like a cop-out statement. We won't know the whole truth. There are certain things that, yes, that whole we won't know the whole truth narrative applies to, but not everything. And this situation with New Jeans and Minhee Jin and all this other stuff, to say that we won't know the whole truth, and yet the court keeps revealing things left and right, and constantly everything that New Jeans has done so far has blown up in their face. Oh, but that's not a hint to what's really going on behind the scenes, because the company has to be doing something bad. There are certain things that I can speculate about with regards to whether HYBE gives their trainees proper vocal lessons or whatever, because a lot of people have been saying HYBE does not prioritize vocals a lot, which I don't know the truth of. May be true, may not be true. However, in the case of New Jeans, constantly, and I'm going to put out the video as soon as I get done with the script, constantly we've been seeing how New Jeans and their side have been going out talking to foreign media because they've pretty much lost a lot of support in Korea. So they're going to foreign media to plead their case and still trying to get the court of public opinion on their side. If not in South Korea, then in foreign media where like a lot of foreigners watch. And I don't know, maybe they're counting on a lot of foreigners not being up to date or even aware at all of the situation. And they're counting on, again, the narrative of companies bad, idols are victims. That's one aspect of this that I'm noticing here. What I'm worried about, but not worried about, because it doesn't really bother me that people are like willfully not wanting to admit that, hey, New Jeans really are at fault for something. And I get it, they're young. And even I, at first, when I started covering this, I was like initially saying that, yeah, maybe they don't deserve as much, backlash as what they've been getting. And because they're young, a lot of the choices that they're making, you can't really fault them for, because Minhee Jin has done this and that and the other. But after New Jeans started allegedly making decisions on their own and allegedly coming out and saying things in support of Minhee Jin, and allegedly without any aid, without any help, without any spurring on by Minhee Jin or anybody, this is alleged. I don't know if Minhee Jin had a hand in that or not. I'm assuming she did though. But the influence that she's had on the girls is so strong, they felt compelled to come out in support of her in the way that they have. And that's what kind of bothers me about this whole situation. Even if they did come out in support for Minhee Jin on their own, or with the aid of Minhee Jin kind of like pulling the strings, there's some ounce of responsibility that New Jeans has to take here. They can't be completely innocent. And I'm seeing that more and more as time progresses with this whole situation. The more they speak out, the more they give their little attitude, the more that they say that people who are reporting on this in a seemingly biased manner against New Jeans and Minhee Jin are being somehow paid by HYBE, including people online saying that HYBE is in control of the media, HYBE is in control of everything, which is just ridiculous, considering that New Jeans are self-sabotaging by their own statements, by their own actions, by their own words. And Minhee Jin started the whole decline of New Jeans' popularity by doing what she did. And all we're doing on YouTube land is telling you what happened and then putting two and two together. That's it. At what point after the court rules on everything, are we gonna be like, okay, forget about what we said about no one will ever know the truth? The court is ruling. And it's funny because some of the people that say that are the same people that say, hey, well, let's see what the court says. What matters is what the court says. And then when the court rules against them, they're like, no, something's wrong. Something's wrong. Even the court's paid by Hybe. Even the court's paid off. They paid him off. And I'm just like, bro. And I'm not saying the court can't get it wrong, but to say that Hybe paid the court off to make a ruling is just reaching at this point. Hybe is paying off the court all the time. It's always Hybe's fault. Always Hybe's fault. Hybe is responsible for everything that's happening bad with New Jeans and Minhee Jin. Ridiculous. And I'm not really upset or anything. I'm just talking. It might come across as upset, but I'm not upset. I'm just passionate. Maybe a little too passionate. It just kind of bothers me that the narrative and the excuse of we don't know the whole truth, nobody knows the whole truth, it's misused, honestly, often. And I feel like this is one of those cases where it's misused, just like people believing that New Jeans is the flagship for calling out mistreatment when the only thing that they've ever talked about is, oh, we were in a dorm full of bugs and somebody told somebody to ignore her. Bongshi Hukdin Bao. Minhee Jin is no longer CEO of Adore. This is mistreatment and a breach of contract. Hani cries at the National Assembly and gets cheers from bunnies for it. We want to be free from Adore. We want to be free from the company interfering with our work. Hybe is mistreating us. Adore is mistreating us. And getting back to Hani for a moment, they showed the footage that Hani was talking about, the ignore her gate thing, only to find out that all of the members bowed to her with no one saying ignore her. So she basically lied, and people don't want to believe it. All of them bowed to her. There was not one person that said ignore her to someone. You didn't see it on camera. It wasn't there. She made it up. And yet bunnies are still convinced that something happened, because there's just no way that Hani, as innocent as she looks and sounds, could lie. It's inconceivable to even imagine that Hani would even lie. It's just inconceivable. And it kind of reminds me of the narrative of believe all women, believe all victims. The problem is, what if the victim isn't a victim and they're lying? And what if their lie gets exposed? Are they still to be believed? Well, if you're a diehard fan, they are believed regardless. So it doesn't really matter, which is why coming at this from a fan perspective or a Hybe stan perspective is not a good idea. You have to look at this and dissect this, looking at everything that's happening, that's coming out, and seeing clearly, with all the evidence in front of you, what's going on. And that people willfully deny it is beyond understanding. And also to claim that those who are covering this and are seeing that Hybe is actually not to blame for a lot of the things that New Jeans are claiming they've done to them, and seeing no evidence of it, and being called a Hybe shill for that is crazy, because it feels like you're not using your head, or you're not thinking about this as critically as you should be. Have you ever bothered to ask the question to yourself, why is it that more people are flocking towards Hybe and Adore's side over this whole situation instead of the people who are claiming to be victims? Why isn't this the same as all the other times where companies have done the idols wrong? Why are people switching? Why is this different? Why are people switching to Hybe and Adore's side? Like, have you ever bothered to ask yourself that question? And if you've answered the question internally and your answer was, it's because they're all shills. It has to be because they're all shills. It's because they're all Hybe stans. All of these people have been bought and paid for by Hybe. Hybe is just controlling everything. That is an answer to the question based on bias. Only a biased person would say it's because they're shills. That kind of answer is used as a coping mechanism. Think a little more critically about this. That's all we're saying. We're presenting all of the information. A lot of people are doing a way better job than I am, but presenting the information and saying, look at this and be honest with yourself. I'm not saying that Hybe is perfect, never said it. I think the question is not, is Hybe perfect? Because no company is perfect. The question is, did Hybe and by extension Adore do the things that New Jeans claim they did to them? Where's the evidence for those things that they did? And do those things that New Jeans claimed Hybe had done to them constitute as mistreatment based on the South Korea's Labor Standards Act, Article 76, Paragraph 2, which we went over before? And of course, you would do the same thing, ask the same questions of Min Hee-jin's claims towards Hybe as well. Is Hybe responsible for things that people are accusing them of being responsible for, like paying off people like me, paying off the court, paying off the media? Is that true? At the end of the day, I have this fear that when the truth finally is fully revealed, because I believe the truth is being revealed in parts and people are just denying it. They're denying it. And I'm not saying this because I'm on Hybe's side. I've said this many times. I'm not on Hybe's side. I'm not on New Jean's side. I'm not freaking on Min Hee-jin's side for dang sure. I'm on the side of the truth. I just want the truth. And when the truth is being revealed, and what I've looked into when I was researching this and came to the conclusions that I come to, when the court is actually solidifying a lot of what I've been putting together by looking at the information, how can I sit here and say, oh, we won't know the whole truth? When lies get called out and get disproven, and then we say we won't know the whole truth to something, I feel like you're misusing that. And I'm not addressing any one particular comment. I'm just saying, in general, when people say, we won't know the whole truth to this Min Hee-jin, New Jeans, Hybe thing. But one thing we can say is that Hybe is this, and Hybe is that, and Hybe is this. And that Min Hee-jin is this, and that, and this, and that, and this, and that. And I'm on the side of New Jeans because New Jeans are innocent. It's true, they got put into a position they didn't ask to be in, but then they kind of kept on going with the position as if that was what they wanted from the start. I'm not saying that that's what they wanted, but they kept on pushing it. Now, an argument could be made that Min Hee-jin was still pushing them to do a lot of things that they did, like the live stream that they did on YouTube, and then they deleted the channel right after that. The press conference that they did where they were saying that the contract is unilaterally terminated. She could have had something to do with that. Even the belief that Min Hee-jin might have been involved with the production and choreography of Pit Stop. That these are some things we may not know the truth of, or maybe it will come out. Okay, maybe it will. Even if the defendant says that, to our knowledge, she had nothing to do with any of that stuff, maybe the truth will come out. My point is that I want bunnies and people that are not bunnies but are just defending this whole narrative of New Jeans because company bad to think a little bit more critically about this. At first, when I covered this story, I was saying, hey, let's take their accusations against the company seriously. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. But I'm not anymore, not after everything that's happened. The only thing that I can say that I really want for them right now is help. Min Hee-jin has used New Jeans as her pawns in this little game of hers. She's manipulated them emotionally. I strongly believe that still to this day. Everything about her character has pointed to this, including the text messages from Kakao. The puberty stages of these girls' lives have been dramatically affected in a negative way by someone who is supposed to be their role model and someone that they can look up to and look to for help and support, emotionally, relationally, mentally, in every way, and she's failed them. Puberty is one of the most important stages of a child's life, and she has failed them. She has failed to be a positive role model in their lives. She's manipulated them. She has convinced them of things that are not true, and they have suffered the consequences of their actions as a result. And this by no means takes away the responsibility from them, because they have done their own thing too, I do believe, and they should be responsible for their part in all of this as well. It just kind of bothers me when people say things like, well, we will never know the whole truth, while the truth of the matters that we have been claiming we won't know the whole truth of are being brought to light. That's the concern I'm having. Are we just looking past everything that's being exposed right now by the court? And yes, YouTubers reporting on what the court said, like Hybe Boy and Shiwon K-Pop T and Asian Entertainment and Culture and Honeyverse and Capital Victims Even Soulite TV, right? You can, and listen, you can have your opinion. You can believe that New Jeans is innocent or whatever. I'm just saying that there's stuff that's been coming out that says otherwise. From the court now, not just from K-tubers. Opinions that were once opinions are now being made substantiated by the court. So all I'm saying is let's watch, let's see what happens, and just follow along carefully and think critically about what's going on. And don't resort to the obvious little tactic of they're paid by Hybe, that's why they're ruling. And that is assuming they all rule in favor of Hybe every time. It's not because they're paid by Hybe, it's because the other side is wrong. And that's just it. New Jeans is not going to reveal everything that's behind the scenes because they possibly don't have anything more to share. And the additional evidence that's supposed to be coming out, we're still waiting for. So the next trial that happens, we'll see what happens. We'll see what they bring out. And, you know, there's still the issue of the contract that's being discussed as well. So I'm going to do my best to report on it as best as I can and as honest and as truthful to what the court has said as possible, because I care more about the truth than what side you're on. I don't care if you're on Hybe side. I don't care if you're on New Jeans side. I don't care if you still think Minhee Jin is okay. I want the truth. And I believe the truth is being revealed as we speak. Some people are just blindly ignoring it. It's like they're covering their ears and their eyes. They don't want to hear or see what doesn't fit their narrative of company bad and idols are victims. And that's the problem. That when it's all said and done and the truth finally comes out, are people going to still deny it? The sad thing is, yes, some people actually will deny it because they want their narrative to be true so bad. It's crazy, but that's the truth. That's how the human mind works sometimes when you have a bias. You don't want to be wrong about something, and you don't want to be wrong so bad that it leads you to telling a lie over and over again to yourself and to other people to the point where you believe the lie you're telling, and it's no longer a lie to you. So we'll see what happens, y'all. But I had to rant and vent for a minute because I just don't understand how people can sit here and say, well, you know, we may never know the truth. We may never know what really happened. We're still waiting for New Jeans to, you know, tell the whole truth. And I'm just like, bruh, they should have told, if you be honest, they should have told the whole truth long time ago. What are y'all sitting on? What information could you possibly be sitting on at this point in time that is so crucial to you possibly winning this whole case that you would conceal it for so long and reveal it later like some trump card? What is it possibly? And I know I'm not the only one that has been asking this very crucial, critical question. What could you possibly be hiding right now? Because I want to dispel this whole we won't know the whole truth narrative. And I believe that New Jeans also wants to dispel it. The problem is, I personally believe, and I could be wrong because they might actually have something in their back pocket. I strongly believe they don't have anything except what they've already put out. So what are you going to do? The National Assembly thing was supposed to be the nail in the coffin for Hybe for Adore, and it wasn't. It got to the court level. Now you're scrambling because the National Assembly thing failed. Counting on Hani's tears to solidify the claims that were made by her is not enough. One's tears does not make one right. One's tears does not validate one's statements. One's tears does not mean that the person's speaking truth to power. You know how they like to say we're speaking truth to power. Power, in this case, being Hybe. That's what they thought they were doing. I just don't see it, guys. I just don't see it. And I'm not even wanting Hybe to be wrong about something. I just want the truth. I'm not wanting New Jeans to suffer. But at the same time, the most important thing is not whose side you're on. The most important thing in this whole situation is the truth. And if that means that Hybe didn't do anything wrong and that Minhee Jin and New Jeans are digging graves for themselves and the court is exposing it, That does not mean, oh, you're a Hybe stan. It just means that the evidence is pointing to Hybe being in the right here. Is that so hard to believe or understand? That we'll never know the whole truth. Some of us will never know the whole truth because we'll never know. We'll never know. Isn't the point to know? Isn't the point of this to get to the truth? Honestly, it's funny because the statement implies even that New Jeans will never reveal the truth. That maybe Hybe won't reveal all the truth, but New Jeans also won't reveal the truth. So we're screwed either way, right? I don't like this narrative. When I'm reporting on stuff, I take a more, milder tone because I'm trying to make sure I get through everything thoroughly. But when I'm venting and ranting, yes, this is what I'm gonna do. This is how I'm gonna sound. You're just gonna have to deal with it. I can't do anything about my individuality and autonomy. It's just who I am. I guess my last point is that a lot of the K-tubers that are reporting on this, we're not reporting on this for the sake of putting out an opinion. We're not. Yes, we're putting out an opinion, obviously. But these opinions that we have are based on the stuff that's come out. We're putting out the report and then giving our opinion based on what we've just reported on in the video. I don't give a crap about these videos being liked to death or viewed to death because that's not really that important. Yeah, it's great, but that's not why I'm doing this. I want the truth, as I know many of you want the truth, because we've been misled a lot and people taking sides because they're fans. And I don't want that. I want unbiased truth. And it's gonna seem like, oh, you're taking Adore's side and Hybe's side because I'm saying all this stuff about how Hybe didn't do anything, except they're being very professional right now, which is a fact. Every statement they put out has been nothing but cordial, whereas the attitude and the crass behavior has been coming from the other side because they want to seem desperate and genuine. All it's doing is making things worse. That's just the honest truth. So when the truth comes out, let's not deny it. And every time the court comes out with something, it's not, oh, Hybe's paid them off. Everyone's bought by Hybe. It's all Hybe. Hybe's doing this. It's Hybe's doing. Like the whole freaking world is run by Hybe. No, that's not how this works. We won't know the whole truth, but New Jeans is apparently sitting on the whole truth and won't put it out. How is this even logical? And notice here, I'm not attacking y'all who disagree with me. I'm attacking the argument. I'm attacking the belief, the narrative. How is it logical to sit on crucial information that could lead to you winning this whole thing? Y'all threatened to put out additional evidence when y'all did that little live stream, New Jeans. And yet nothing came of that. In fact, in the press conference y'all held, talking about how the contract was unilaterally terminated, y'all made an excuse for why y'all no longer wanted to talk about the additional evidence. Well, the legal team advised them. Why would you advise them to not put out all the stuff? Why? Why would you do that? You wanted Hybe to meet some demands, and they put out this 26-page document and give it to you, and you don't even read it. You go with the press conference anyway, and you gave them a deadline, and they actually went ahead of the deadline and sent the 26-page document to you ahead of the deadline, and y'all still didn't read it. Almost as if to say, we planned on coming out here and doing this whole press conference, whether they gave us the 26-page document or not. We were gonna do this anyway, so it was an empty threat. Stop sitting on evidence if you have it, because it doesn't make sense. Now, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe, it's a legal strategy to not come out with the evidence right away, right? Maybe I'm wrong, but you gotta prove me wrong now. The burden of proof has always been on the defendant. Now we're waiting for the burden of proof. Please, I want to know the truth. If New Jeans has been mistreated, I will acknowledge it. I'm not too proud to admit that I won't acknowledge something when it's true. But don't sit here and tell me, oh, we won't know the whole truth, and then the truth is coming out bit by the court and you're denying it or not believing that it's true. Well, the court hasn't ruled definitively on anything yet. There's still trials going on. Okay, but the court did rule something. There was a ruling. You're just gonna not acknowledge the ruling? No, he hasn't completely ruled. Stop stalling. I'm sorry, I'm venting way too much. This video is gonna go way over, and I apologize for that. But my God, bro, it has yet to be determined. We won't know the truth. We may never know the truth. I feel like sometimes people say that hoping that we'll never know the truth. just so that they can hold true to their opinion based on their bias. I'm not saying that that's everybody. I'm just saying that there are people I feel like that say that for that reason. They would prefer the truth not come out, that we don't know the whole truth. It's almost like a wish, a hope, and a prayer that the truth, the real truth, does not come out and put their entire bias to shame. Some of these people are just so scared that this thing is going to be over, and they don't want that to happen. They really don't want the truth to come out because they see how this is going to end based on what is already coming out, and they know that their side is wrong. Supporting the underdog is all well and good, but when the underdog that you're supporting happens to be the guilty party that's been spreading these lies and trying to weaponize an entire fandom against people like me who have been calling this stuff out, claiming that Hybe and Adore has been feeding us K-tubers and the media false information, all in an attempt to sway the public to their side based on an age-old narrative that the company is always bad and trying to take down these helpless girls that have no defense, no power, and no influence. And when you see young people and even older people supporting this kind of behavior from New Jeans, you know there's a problem. And to follow that kind of behavior says a lot about the people who support New Jeans. It's gotten so bad, apparently, that New Jeans fandom, the bunnies, have basically asked other bunnies to submit evidence to New Jeans' legal team to help them, because apparently the legal team is not doing so well in the court. According to the bunnies, they need help. And so they're asking bunnies from all over to just find some evidence and submit it to their legal team to help their legal team. Is it really that bad now? And another question before I leave, where do you think these bunnies are gonna get this evidence from? Like, where's this evidence coming from? Are they just gonna submit a bunch of headcanon that they created in their own minds? Are they gonna submit fabrications? Are they gonna submit lies? And then you've got one whole other side of the bunny fandom that's like, nah, we're gonna send protest trucks to the Hybe building demanding that New Jeans return to Hybe. So the fandom is now split between two sides. You've got one side trying to submit evidence to help their legal team to prove them innocent. Then you got the other side who's advocating for the group to go back to Hybe. One side actually has some common sense. The other side are deranged, in my humble opinion. Deranged enough to assume that they know better than New Jeans' legal team and that they can be better lawyers and representatives of New Jeans than their legal team. That's very bold, but I feel like it's going to amount to nothing. So, like I said, we're following the story. I'm following the story as it happens. I may not put out everything as quickly as I want to, but best believe I am following this thoroughly. We started this journey together when I put out that very first video on this New Jeans Minhee-jin Hybe Adore situation, and we will finish it. But yes, let me know how you feel about this in the comments. And I'm not feeling well, so y'all pray for me. But thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more content from your boy. And until next time, it's your boy Moonlight signing out. Peace. Love you guys. Bye.